Hey everybody, and welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit 1989's Steel Magnolias. So drink your juice, and join us. Don't want the juice, Mama.
Oh my. Welcome, everyone, to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
And we're revisiting Steel Magnolias, 1989, with a slew of powerful women in the cast. Brian, where were you when this... Well, I guess when the first time you saw it.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I did not see this in a movie theater. I saw it on VHS. And I liked it. I liked seeing all of the, actresses together. There were things that annoyed me, even on a first viewing, but when it all ended, and I think with Sally Field's big moment at the end was enough for me to say, this is good stuff. And I remember really liking it. And I had seen it a few times after that in VHS. And so I think it's probably one of those things I played at the video store too when I worked there. So yes, liked it very much. Loved it, not necessarily, because I think there were some things that I was like, not perfect. But yeah, that was my take. Sally Field. To me, it was like a Sally Field. It really became like a Sally Field movie to me when I wanted it to be an amazing ensemble of performances, and I didn't feel that it was even back then. How about you?
I have to say I agree almost 100% with you. I felt almost the same. I watched it on video the first time. I liked it. It was very emotional. I remember every time I've seen it, I've cried watching it. Especially at that scene. I mean, it's just...
There's something in you.
It's just...
That breaks. It's like, because you love Sally Field, and she's so sad and heartbroken. And
she's pissed. She's just so mad.
Yeah. And
she's held it together, really. I mean, her whole life, the whole life of her daughter, she's held this together, being strong. And this is like her breaking.
She fucking knew it, is really. And she kept warning, saying, like, don't do it. And she told Jackson, don't get pregnant. Like, it's Mom knew best, and they didn't do it.
Could have been prevented. So, I liked that. I liked the movie again. I didn't necessarily love it. I've seen it several times. I think I, appreciate the acting in it. But again, it would have been... I feel like it was a Sally Field movie. I agree. Like, almost 100% with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, revisiting it, I watched this movie a few nights ago. And do you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My takeaway is we talked about this on a recent episode where it's like, were we right then? Were we right to have our reservations, the same reservations? And I have to be honest, I feel almost exactly the same way.
Interesting.
So the things, like what I didn't gel with it way back when was like the noise. Christina, I'm
rolling my eyes because I agree.
Here's the thing. I liked it. I would actually say I liked it about the same, or maybe slightly more than a million years ago. However, there are things that are just so wrong with this movie that need to be discussed. The whole beginning with this... Okay.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
I have this issue with 80s movies.
My first note, is this what you're going to talk about?
Oh my God, Christina, yeah. So Christina's note says, why the shooting? So, so I have this issue with some 80s movies. I talked to Carl about this, because Carl was like, how is Steel Magnolias? And I was like, here's my thing. What I'm kind of discovering about 80s movies is there's these moments where I swear to God that it's like the director yelled, cue pandemonium.
Yeah.
And you have Tom Skerritt shooting birds out of a tree. You have broken glasses, drinking glasses.
Mm-hmm.
You have Julia Roberts complaining about her nail polish. You have, for some fucking reason, the kid putting ice down Sally Field's back. You have...
Yeah, the boys running around were, like, ridiculously
oh my God, it was so
annoying. Ridiculously
people
annoying.
yelling about condoms. Yelling... A cake delivery shows up. You have Annelle doing a blood-curdling scream at the gunshots.
God.
And you have one of the kids bouncing a basketball at the side of the living room. So now here's my issue. It is so fucking noisy. Just someone stop doing something. If you know... Because all the characters are also commenting on how crazy it is. Isn't it crazy? Oh my God, mama! Like, they're all... Sorry.
That's not
They're all freaking out. So then, someone stop.
Right.
Because you're all contributing to the melee. In real life, when shit like this happens, where you either... Most humans... Please keep me honest, Christina. Most humans would leave the fucking room. Or try and help something. Or tell someone to knock it off. Somebody stop doing something. It's too much. And that's how this movie starts. And it drove me... Well, not... Sorry. And now walks through the town first.
Right.
Then it gets into the chaos. Yes. It just feels so movie. It feels so unrealistic.
Yeah, it was just too much. I understood what they were trying to do. I did. I mean, I mean, you had, you know... They hit it over your head of what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it look chaotic because it's the wedding. Okay, we get it. But it didn't need to be that chaotic. Those boys, there was no reason for those freaking kids to be in this movie at all.
Completely.
Those brothers were so annoying. They served no purpose at all. They didn't even really have any kind of purpose after she died.
I would argue it would have been a much stronger movie if Shelby was an only child.
It would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Because then it would have made a little bit more sense
of her
with that overbearingness onto her. She has that one child, and maybe she would be afraid to have another child because of, you know, her having an illness, which, by the way, is diabetes. I was surprised this time around that it was diabetes. I thought it was something else.
It was epilepsy or, Yeah,
and I don't know enough about diabetes to understand if this is, you know, something that's true to life. Yeah, I want something rare.
Let's disclaimer this really quick because I was worried too.
Yes.
When I made the juice comment in the beginning, there's probably going to be some dialogue about the cinematic exploration of diabetes. You're not making jokes about diabetes.
No. Of course not.
Okay, continue.
We respect all. So, what was my point? So the kids, I think, were ridiculously useless in this whole movie. And even just removing them probably would have reduced the chaos by 50%. The shooting was ridiculous. I don't understand. I mean, he was shooting for a long time.
Oh my God, Christina.
How many times do you have to shoot in a tree for the birds to be scared away?
Well, here's the funny thing. There's three of these moments, by the way. That's one. We're talking about one. There's three. Because there's the fireworks, too. There's two scenes of him shooting, one scene of fireworks, and it's that same swirl. There's dogs barking and gunshots and yelling, and then for whatever reason the music gets super loud, and it's like, oh my God, we get it. We got it the first time.
Yeah, we didn't have to do that.
I had a thought where I was like, oh, you know what? This was a play first, and maybe it's funnier on stage. Like I could see that being like funny, like this comical husband blasting birds out of a tree.
It's not going to last that long on stage.
But here's the thing. The play?
Don't even tell me it's longer.
No, there's not a single man in the play.
Oh, that's right.
It all takes place in the beauty shop.
I did read that.
The whole thing takes place in the beauty shop, from what I understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like a better movie.
Yeah, right? That would have been much more interesting.
That's very interesting. So anyway, yes.
Yeah,
so I agree with that.
I keep interrupting you, I apologize.
No, it's okay. I think we're just interrupting each other. We're kind of talking about the same stuff. So the chaos in the wedding day. Right away, you know, Sally Field, this time around, she's like a downer through the whole
Christina.
movie.
They have the same note. I never noticed, Christina. I have seen this movie many times in the past, and I have never noticed how glum she is. And she looks very, like, frail to me in this movie. Yeah. It was very glum.
She's very, very... Just a downer throughout. Like, everything that comes out of her mouth is negative.
Yeah.
She doesn't even try to see.
Her colors are pink and pink.
Oh, God, I know.
Everything. It's her wedding. Then don't pay for it, Mama.
Right. Seriously. Yeah, she's just very, like, overbearing and very negative. So it's actually surprising that Shelby is as positive as she is, because she's a pretty positive person. One thing I do have a note... Why, and it's just because it's the beginning of the movie, why are there 900 eggs? 900 dyed eggs going to a wedding.
No, so...
What is happening? Thank you. I'm so glad you know the answer to this.
So this starts around Easter, and it's for the Easter egg hunt. It's a different event.
Okay. Fact, that makes more sense.
In fact, it ends with an Easter egg hunt.
Yes, I remember that ending, yes.
So that's what the whole thing was, is that there's two events. One is like the big Easter egg hunt.
Oh my God, I missed that 100%.
It's weird. It feels a little like...
And I'm like, what the hell? And I looked at the egg cartons. I actually did like a mental like tally of how many eggs. There's 900 eggs. Easily. At least 900 eggs. And I'm like, why do they need 900 eggs that aren't boiled, by the way? You're supposed to boil them before you hard boil. You hard boil them before you dye them.
Right. Oh, and they were raw?
They were raw because remember that
she crushed them and they were all... Oh, that is so stupid.
I
feel stupid for not catching that.
Yeah, it was just a weird thing. I'm like, why are there so many eggs? So I'm glad it wasn't for the wedding. Yeah. Because I'm like, no one has ever brought dyed Easter eggs to the wedding. Okay, so anyway. So let's talk about the other characters.
Well, I have something in the very beginning.
Oh, let's hear it then, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, the beginning is rough. This movie starts rough. I'm going to say I liked it, but it starts rough.
Yeah.
Because then you have Dylan McDermott, who is so dreamy in this. I mean, he looks like... he's just like a movie star in this.
Yes.
He looks
and you know they're dating in this movie.
Correct.
In real
she
life.
left Liam Neeson to date him. So, but it didn't last. But it doesn't matter. So, but here's my issue with that. And I think this is an issue with the script. So he climbs the window... and she's taking a bath, and she's like, "Oh, you're not supposed to da-da-da." And at one point, there's like, and they might as just well be saying nothing, because there's nothing that's, and then out of nowhere, and it's her wedding day, he says, "Marry me," and I'm like, "Oh my God," he sounds like Forrest Gump. He truly does. I am not dramatizing that. He sounds like Forrest Gump when he talks. But the other thing is like, she is like, "Okay, meet me at the church at 2." And it's like, okay, this is, it's so cute. But then you later find out the reason why he asked her that is because as she told him that she wasn't going to marry him the night before. So you would have thought that she would have cleared that up before the next morning, which is her wedding day. Because it makes him look like a doofus. Like, why would he not think she would marry him on her wedding day? It didn't make any sense. It was weird. But it really started him off as like kind of a dummy when he's supposed to be this amazing attorney. It should have been a conversation. You could have had that same conversation without it ending in "I'm not going to marry you" or "I didn't give you an answer." Yeah, right. She could have had that answer for him last night and still. Like, he could have climbed in that window and said, "I just want to make sure you're still okay with, like, that you are going to show up." Give him a brain! Like, oh my God. Yeah, it was so weird. Yeah, it was weird. That whole wedding thing was weird. Laughed out loud, Dolly Parton. I'm going to say something maybe controversial. I think Dolly Parton gives the second best performance in this movie. I would agree with that. I don't think it's controversial. She doesn't have the big dramatic moment that a lot of the other actresses do, but her reactions, her caring, her compassion, her facial expressions in certain scenes, her body language during like death scenes and sick illness scenes feels so real to me. In the very beginning, she has this line, "Her whole life has been an experiment in terror." when she talks about Annelle's, the woman who owns Annelle's boarding school. Yeah.
Yes. So I agree with you. I think that she has a great performance. And I think the reason is because she's multifaceted. You see different parts of her. She's always trying to be positive. She always has some sort of advice. But she's also kind of like a gossip. She's also has not a great relationship with her husband. You can see that there's some tension there, and she's trying to make the best out of this bad situation, but you can tell that she's not happy at times. She's multifaceted. I love that. She's like a real person. Something interesting about that is the director. I don't know if you did any research about the director.
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I'm probably going to get a lot of this wrong. But I didn't write any of this down. But he wasn't a very nice director to work with, and a lot of the women had a lot of problems with him. But he actually said some mean things to Dolly Parton, like something
have you ever
about
acted before,
can you act or
take
something
acting
like that.
That's right.
Right, and then she came back with basically something on the idea of like, isn't that your job to make me an actress or something like that? Do you have the quote that she said?
I don't, but it was similar. It was something like, well, my job is to, act, and your job is to direct me. It was something like that.
Yeah, something on that idea.
But it did. So Herbert Ross, who directed Footloose, and he also directed one of my favorite comedies, Outrageous Fortune, which I haven't seen in a long time. But he was really hard on her. Yeah. And I guess on Julia Roberts. And Julia Roberts, I guess, had shown up to Shirley MacLaine's house, or wherever they were filming, in tears because he was so mean to her. And what ended up happening is they formed this sisterhood.
Yes.
Which I love. Basically towards the director. And it's like, but I guess Dolly Parton gave back as much as she got, but Julia Roberts didn't. She just got upset. And,
was this one of her first movies?
She did,
Julia Roberts?
that's right. I think she did Satisfaction and Mystic Pizza.
So she's still pretty young and
pretty young, yeah. And she got the only Oscar nomination for this movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's funny. But yeah, so anyway, all I have to say, Dolly Parton, and I said to Carl, I was like, I knew that about that. And I don't know if that was a reaction. I don't know if the director got that out of her or what, but one of the scenes that comes to mind is when Dolly Parton is sitting with Julia Roberts and she looks at the marks on her arm. And the reaction of Dolly Parton, it feels so real.
Yeah.
And it feels like a human being. Like, it feels like in the questions she asks, the way she asks them, the way she looks at other characters in the scene.
Definitely, because you know what it is? She blurts something out out of surprise. Yeah. Out of seeing it. She said something like, oh my God, Lord. Like, and it's a realistic reaction. Like, if I had seen crack marks on your arms, I would be like, what the hell?
She basically calls Malin. She's like, Malin?
Yeah.
Have you seen this? Like, but it just feels real. Like, and it
sure does.
And I don't know how that performance happened, if it was from her being yelled at or her fighting back.
She's great.
She was great.
And she's
great in 9 to 5
natural.
Too.
Yeah, she's just a natural actress. So whoever this director was didn't know what he was talking about. It's a jerk.
We should say it's all based on a true story. Robert Harling is the writer. It was based on family members in his life, and it was
it was his sister who had diabetes, and
Her
same
name
thing
was
happened.
Susan.
And did you hear about when they were doing the movie, when they were filming the movie?
The doctors and the nurses and stuff.
The doctors and nurses are the same doctors and nurses that cared for his sister, but his mother she insisted on being in the room during that scene where she dies. Yeah. And the director was like, I think it's going to be too hard. And the mother was like, no, I want to see this. I want to see this. And she said later, the reason is because she wanted to see this character die and then get up and walk away.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, oh.
Yeah. That's...
Like, as a mom, it was like, that hit home a lot to me. I could totally see that. I don't think I would be strong enough to watch, someone pretending to be my daughter dying, but I could understand the reasoning after hearing that. Yeah. It's so sad.
It is, it said, you wonder, like, having a movie made about something so personal and sad, and then, like, I wonder how his family even reacted to that. Like, oh yeah, sure, do it. Yeah. Like, it's like, it's sad.
Well, he sounds like a jerk, so I wonder if he even asked.
No, it's not the director who wrote it.
Robert
Harlan
okay,
wrote
you're
it.
right.
Yeah, Robert
Sorry.
Harlan. No, but it's like, even that, it's like if I was like, oh yeah, hey family, I'm gonna write about the darkest moment of our lives as a play.
It's
So anyway, Meg Ryan was the first cast as Shelby, but then ended up turning it down to make When Harry Met Sally.
That was a good
Talk
choice.
about an amazingly good call.
Yes.
Betty Davis saw the play and wanted to be Ouiser.
Oh.
And yeah, but that obviously didn't happen.
Right. So let's talk about Ouiser. Shirley MacLaine.
So I predict that I will be a male Ouiser.
I could see that.
I really
sure.
do. I got her.
I got her
her
better now than I ever got her. I think I'm already her. I might be.
I think Christina the same for me. Too. I think when I was younger, I was like, oh, what a caricature! This is ridiculous. Like
right?
people aren't that sharp to be like to be self-deprecating, but also be that character. And now I watch them like. Totally her.
Yep.
I'm her. That's me. In the group of friends, she's like the Dorothy Zbornak. I am the I think I might be the Dorothy or a mix, but it's like, but Ouiser. And it's true. Ouiser is awesome.
Yep. Yeah. She is awesome. Shirley MacLaine.
Do you have a favorite Ouiser moment?
I have a lot of great moments for her, but one of the ones that stands out. First of all, I love her relationship with Clary.
Oh, it's awesome.
They go together like peas and carrots, if you will.
Yeah.
But I love there's a moment. Oh, when she wants to get walked home. So Ouiser's leaving, and she's like, "Walk me home, Clary." And she's like, "My car's right there." And she's like, "Just walk me home. It's dark and all this." And so they have this argument, and she's like. So then she's like reluctantly walking with her, and she's like, Ouiser, the older you get, the sillier you get. And she goes, the older you get, the uglier you get. It just was like awesome. Like I could see like us having that conversation, or it was just a fun, awesome friendship. I loved that friendship so much. That was my favorite relationship in that whole movie.
Loved it. And also, I'm gonna get serious for a second. After Shelby dies and they're at the funeral. There's a big stretch of time where Sally Field is having her moment, and Ouiser is holding onto Clary's arm almost the entire time. Like she's worried before Sally Field loses it. You see, and it's not full front camera. It's like in the background.
It's in the background.
But you see Ouiser grab Clary's arm like she's not like meaning like Melinda is not right. Yeah, we have to keep an eye on her, and that felt very real. I will say, I think one of the biggest positives of this movie is the characters, their human nature behavior to things that are uncomfortable feels real. And I think it does a really good job with that. One of my favorite Ouiser moments, I have a couple, is one is it's Christmas and the choir is singing Silent Night in the house. Ouiser, like there's people sitting and watching the choir. She cuts right in front of the choir. And as she's walking, she yells out to Malin, "I can't believe Shelby did that."
I love her. She's so, I just love her.
My other favorite is when, Ouiser meets this man that Shelby sets up Owen with Ouiser, and Ouiser like reluctantly has a great time with him.
Right.
So rumors, gossip. Ouiser enters the church. And Truvy, played by Dolly Parton, playfully says, "Well, Ouiser, what are you doing here?" Because Owen's in the thing. So she says, "Ouiser, what are you doing here?" And Ouiser says, "Shut up." Like, you expect it to be some banter, because it's really set up that way. And she's just like, shut up.
I love it.
And
It's so real.
Yeah, it's
so real. I love that dialogue.
Shirley MacLaine
There's one moment where she says, "I'm not crazy, Malin. I've just been in a really bad mood for 40 years." She's great. She is great. So, we talked a little bit about Shelby's scene, Shelby and Malin's scene in the kitchen. I mean, in the kitchen? Oh, yeah. So I was thinking, when I was just reading this, I was thinking about it when she had her, her seizure.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well acted.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you really believe something's going on, especially for someone that's new to acting. Like, I thought she did a fantastic
Well, when you
job.
also notice, like, because when you've seen it, you know what's going to happen.
Yes.
And you see that Shelby, Julia Roberts, is very fidgety. And she's
and
fidgety,
she starts feeling her
neck
her collar.
and,
she's getting hot. Yeah, you can see
so
that.
it doesn't just spring up out of nowhere. There's signals that something isn't quite right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she handled that really well. The not wanting to take the juice and all that kind of stuff. And I like that there was like enough time that passed after I'm going to call it a seizure. I think it's a seizure. Yeah. There was enough time that passed after the seizure where she was like, all of a sudden, kind of backing her straight, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, and she's so embarrassed, and she's like apologizing. Yeah. And you feel for her.
She had messed her hair up and
she's
stuff.
like, I'm so sorry.
Well, you do. There's a movie.
You feel so much for her.
There's a movie called Night Mother, and that was a play that became a movie.
Oh my gosh.
Did you see that?
I love that movie.
Really? We've never talked about this.
We've never talked about
So Sissy Spacek
I would love to revisit that.
Oh my god. Sissy Spacek plays someone with epilepsy, and she decides to kill herself because she can't handle the seizures anymore, and the big thing is like how embarrassed she gets because she has them and they don't show any of them.
Right.
They never show a seizure in Night Mother. But she has many speeches about what that experience is like to as someone who has fainted in my life, like when you feel like you're going to die, and you have everyone around you looking at you. It's a spectacle, and you feel guilty. Even though you have no control, and it's something that your body is just doing to you, you don't know why. And I think this movie does a very good job of it too, where she collects herself. So she's pushing her mother, she's not drinking the juice, and then she comes to you and she just completely apologizes. And you do feel for her.
You do, you really feel for her. She's just embarrassed, and so upset, and all that. So that was great. But the other scene I was actually going to refer to in my notes is when Shelby and Malin, there's a scene in the kitchen, and I feel like it's a really good scene. It's when Shelby announces that she's pregnant. And I thought it was interesting with Malin just always blaming Jackson, like not giving Shelby any sort of say in what's happening. She's always blaming Jackson. So she has this idea that someone always needs to take care of Shelby, and Shelby is not allowed to take care of herself. So I kind of got that whole thing. But I thought it was really interesting, she's kind of joking around about it. Like, Shelby's kind of like, yeah, well, we're looking for baby furniture, and kind of like trying to make light of it. Yeah. And then Malin's pissed, and she's just so angry, and of course she feels out of control, and I can understand that as a mother. I can understand that. And then all of a sudden, Shelby stops, and there's tears in her eyes, and she stops. She's like, please, I need your support. And she has a kind of a movie line.
The 30 minutes.
She's like, I'd rather have 30 minutes of wonderful than a lifetime of something special.
Nothing special.
Nothing special, right?
Very much a movie line.
Very much a movie line. But what I loved about it, Malin leaves. She's not hearing it. She doesn't give a shit about the 30 minutes of happiness. Yeah. It was so cold. Yeah. So cold. She just leaves right in the middle of that.
I have to be honest. I don't know if I blame her.
I don't blame her at all. That's what I loved about the scene. I thought it was great.
She even told Jack. This is what I said in the very beginning. She even told Jackson, I know you don't want to have kids. It's not a good idea. It's it really will put her in jeopardy. I mean, she lays it out, and they did anyway. And she's like, I want my own baby. And she's like, there's adoption, there's this, there's that, you can buy a child. And Malin's even into the idea of buying a kid. Right. People do it all the time. She's like, Mom, I want my own baby.
Right. And she did say that she exhausted those options too.
Yeah, and that she said no one would let someone with my condition adopt a child.
And she had a little line saying something like, even Jackson was trying to buy one or something like that. She said,
she said contemplating buying one. And I think what they meant is something not quite on the up and up.
Right.
Because Sally Field says, because Sally Field's people do it all the time. So, I mean, it's, and then I remember being young in the scene where she says, Dolly Parton's all excited, and she's like, oh my god, and here's, the doctor said she couldn't have children. And Malin says, no, the doctor says she shouldn't have children. And there's a big difference. And I remember being a kid,
like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this sort of, and I hate to say this, because I think, as an adult, after seeing so many movies in my life, it's like then it's just the writing's on the wall. Then I think to the movie's detriment is like then you're just kind of waiting for Shelby to die,
right? And then aren't you surprised? I mean, obviously after you've seen it a few times, you know what happens. But I remember being surprised because it was a pretty. You never see her pregnant. You never see that whole pregnancy. Never is there. The next few scenes, she's with a child. Yeah. It's like, and actually, the way they do it is interesting because they show like it's Jack Jr.'s first birthday.
Say this because I have a very weird note about that scene.
Yeah, it's Jack Jr. Yeah, it's his first birthday, and she's not anywhere to be found. And I think they do that on purpose to make us feel like she had died during childbirth.
Who's holding Jack Jr. in that scene?
I thought it was was it the aunt or what? Who was the dark
They
kid
never
aunt?
show.
They don't say.
Her.
So maybe it was Shelby holding it, and we're just assuming
here's what I think.
Not.
Here's what I think. I think it was filmed out of order. I would love for someone to prove me right about this. I think she already had the haircut. Because the blouse looks familiar, and I'm like, I think that was Shelby's shirt, but her hair is much shorter. So whoever's holding Jack Jr., which I have a note, I'm going to hell anyway. Jack Jr., I wrote, is not the brightest ornament on the tree. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like they could have found a better baby actor. Like,
it was a baby actress, actually. It was a girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's like the kid was looking everywhere but the cake. And so then I wrote, who's holding Jack Jr.? And I think it was Shelby. And they just, like, cut it from the neck down because they realized it was out of sequence with the haircut.
Which is interesting. Yeah. I took it as they wanted to mislead us to think that she had died.
Interesting.
Because it was the next...
Yeah.
It was after that, speech.
Yeah. Did you like her new haircut?
Not at all.
Were we supposed to?
I don't think so.
Because
I don't know.
Even back then, I remember like, Mama, which way to the Peter Pan auditions? Like, it looks like Peter Pan. It's like a Peter Pan... Not even... It's too thick. It's too thick to be a pixie cut. It looks like a Sally, Jesse, Raphael, like...
It was just
It's too old for her. But I couldn't tell if it was supposed to not be
I
great.
didn't understand why they made it so short. Like, you can get a haircut and not have it look like that. It was, that was bad. And, and Schroeder's a good hairdresser.
I know, it was so weird. Something was weird about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Was I trying to make a point for something and it got sidestepped?
Well, you Jackson at the birth. You had said that they wanted us to think she had died.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I thought it was kind of interesting with the kidney operation. So they're supposed to be all like this close-knit friends. They didn't even know that they were planning this kidney operation until the day before. Malin didn't tell anybody. It was after she got her hair cut. We're trying to make things as simple as possible and all this. And then they were just talking about whatever. And then they're like, oh, well, kidney, Mom is going to donate her kidney. And they're like, what? Isn't that dangerous? Oh, when's it going to happen? The day after tomorrow or whatever it was. Tomorrow or whatever it was.
I thought my take on that was that's why she didn't tell them. Because if I would have tried to take her, talk her out of it, they would have worried. They would have talked about it all over town.
Well, if they know her, I'm sure.
Well, they would have gossiped.
They would have gossiped for sure. You're right. You're right about that.
What else? Let's see. Well, Blast from the Past, Anne Wedgeworth plays the aunt that you were mentioning.
Yes.
And she was Lana on Three's Company.
Yeah. She's a funny actress.
I do have a question, and it's not going to surprise you, but what is Tom Skerritt doing in this thing?
I don't know. He didn't need to be. I mean...
I wrote, it looks like he stumbled on the set and the director was just like, fine.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't look the part. He doesn't sound the part, in my opinion. He has no chemistry to speak of with Sally Field. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if they have a scene together. Like a real scene together. I don't understand. I don't know why they were so hell-bent on...
Yeah, and what if they got rid of him along with the kids?
The kids, I know.
And that would have been another layer.
Yeah.
It's just the two of them.
Make Malin a widow. Why does it have to be like... I mean, because then you have these male characters that are like... Yeah.
I mean,
it's a bunch of Forrest Gumps. That is the male panache of men.
Yeah, I mean, so Daryl Hannah's character and Nell's, like, he's a dope.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't have a mind of his own.
You were going to say get rid of her, too.
Well, I wouldn't have minded to get rid of her. We'll talk about her in a minute. Truvy's husband, dope. And I love him, too.
Oh, yeah. He was a downer. Sam Elliott. Sam Shepard. No, you're right. Sam Shepard, yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he was like a super downer. Even her son was like a, kind of hoodlum.
Yeah.
Owen, Ouiser's...
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't really say anything. He seems nice, but he doesn't say anything. So, I mean, clearly this is a woman's movie. But if they're going to have men in the movie, let's give them a little bit. So, I mean... Yeah. It's not doing us any favors.
I mean, I think it was, to me, my feeling was like, Malin's support system is so clearly these women, but like, it's sad that her husband really couldn't be much comfort to her at all. Like,
not at all.
It wasn't written well. It wasn't acted well. But on Tom Skerritt's part, like they had no chemistry to me, and it didn't seem like he was much.
They really weren't in many scenes.
No, I know.
Yeah, I just didn't... Yeah, I agree. We did not need him in that. It would not... I don't think I would notice if he was not in it.
Sorry, Tom. I know that you don't... Christina, you don't usually like when I go after specific actors.
I think you usually don't like it when... I feel like I do it more than you do.
Oh, I feel like I do it more than you.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, no, I don't like when you... when you talk about someone's appearance. I get weird about that. But I tend to go after people's, like, acting ability or, like... their acting choices.
And I will say, I mean, I think it's pretty clear my feelings about Julia Roberts.
Yeah, you've only said nice things.
I liked her in this movie. I think this is before she became that Julia person Roberts. That I don't like.
It's before she became the movie star.
Yes.
Yes.
So, with that being said, I want everyone to understand how positive I am being with Julia Roberts this time around.
That's right. So, I want to talk quickly about Annelle, because I didn't understand something. Okay. You, anytime I don't quite get something or I miss something, it's because you always catch what I miss.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
It's true. So, Annelle, she has this really funny moment, like, where, I'm not crazy with the character, I'm not crazy with the performance, for that matter. Daryl Hannah, here's my issue with this character. I think, because we meet her in the very beginning, we see it through her eyes, I feel like there's an intention that we are Annelle. And I didn't gravitate to her on any level. At all.
Me either.
At all. I didn't find that she was our touchstone in this, that she was learning about... movies do that. There's that character that has to learn everything.
Right.
I didn't connect with Annelle at all.
She was not she wasn't really a neutral character. She didn't really have any purpose at all. I didn't care about her storyline. I thought she was very unappealing, to be honest. There was one part, like around Christmas time, where she was actually like a normal person.
That's my note. So why did it change later? So Annelle, when they're at the Christmas carnival,
when she loses her contact.
Oh my god! So that's great. But also before that, she has Truvy's hair.
Yes,
and it's such a funny, and it's not in your face. It's a funny visual gag, and it's so good, and her character is so fresh and alive.
Yeah.
So then what happens?
So instead of going to... She had a choice to go to something with Truvy, like some sort of festival or something, or go to a Bible camp with her church. And she chose the church. Oh. And during that time...
So I knew you would catch this.
During that time, she... became ultra religious.
And that she had some missed opportunities. Thank you for explaining that to me.
You're welcome.
Missed opportunities with all the praying. I think that could have been much more comedic. And it wasn't. Like, even when she runs into the kitchen, she's like, "What did you say?" "I have to pray." And it wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny. It was annoying.
Sad. It wasn't like
And it was like, ugh, can you just fire her?
Well, to me, it was like, play it up. Like, I want her, like just crumbling on the ground and starting to pray. I want her holding onto her neck, her cross on her necklace, and it just needs to be broader and bigger.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it was it was annoying and a bit like sad.
I mean, I did appreciate the fact that everybody around her thought she was annoying.
Yes.
Like, that part made me happy. That they weren't just, like, accepting this of her. Even the husband's like, Jesus Christ. And now she's like, oh, don't you use the words vain in vain. And, like, you can tell he's frustrated with her. And, like, you know, Trudy's, like, gossiping about her. And I liked the fact that they weren't, like, accepting of that. They were just like, geez, come on.
As much as I didn't care for the character, I mean, I love the name Spud, and I love every time Dolly Parton said Spud, I laugh.
She's,
like,
yeah.
Don't
Spud.
joke about it, Spud.
She's great. Yeah.
Spud. Oh my God, what a name.
And of course, Olympia Dukakis' character, Clary.
She's great.
Amazing character, amazing acting, amazing woman. I just love her backstory. I love how light and happy she is, but she's like, you can tell she's smart as a whip.
Well, you can tell she misses her husband.
Yeah.
Like, she's a widow, and I loved her in this as well. I loved when, and to your point about the friendship with Ouiser, when they're like fighting on the bench, and she just like pushes her off the ground.
Hilarious.
Yeah. I wondered if how much of their relationship was improv too. I wouldn't
be surprised. They're both such strong actresses. I mean, hopefully this director was smart enough to utilize some improv between, especially the two of them. Like, I wouldn't expect that from Julia Roberts or Daryl Hannah or, you know, some of the others. But, I mean, certainly these seasoned actresses know probably, you know, what they're doing. But their chemistry was great. Great.
Should we take a little break?
Yes, let's take a break. All right, we'll be right back. Hey there, it's Brian and Christina. We just wanted to take this break to thank you for listening to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pulp culture through a middle-aged lens. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you have any questions, comments, or observations, shoot us an email at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening, and now, back to the show. And we're back talking about 1989's Steel Magnolias. Let's get into it. I have a couple little dialogue things that I really enjoyed.
All right, let's hear it.
Truvy, Dolly Parton. He doesn't know whether to scratch his watch or wind his butt. And then Clary, when she says, you know, as I think she says, as someone once said, if you don't have anything nice to say, come sit by me. But here's what I loved about that line. Dolly Parton's line after she says that is, that's a good one. We've talked about this on this podcast many times, where when I don't like when I'm watching something truly funny, like a funny character being funny, and none of the other characters are laughing.
Yeah, no one reacts.
And there's no reaction. And here you have these women crack each other up.
Yes.
They really have a good laugh with each other, and I find that makes everything stronger. And we talked about that with the Golden Girls. We talked about that with even Sex and the City at times. Even Schitt's Creek is a more recent example. Like, the characters, when the characters are funny and the other characters laugh with the character, or even maybe at the character,
them. Oh, yeah.
It just feels like much more connected.
Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, I like that scene too. I like that scene a lot. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about the hospital scenes. We did talk a little bit about that already. I told you before, whenever I've watched this movie, I end up in a puddle of tears because it is just gets you in the gut. This time around, it happened as well, but it happened so much earlier for me some reason. Now, it is around, so it's 2020, highly emotional year.
Yeah.
It's also around the holidays and lots of going on. So, I mean, I think that maybe I was heightened emotionally anyway. But as soon as these hospital scenes started, I was a blubbering mess.
Why?
I don't know. It was
like you think it's the year of the emotional.
It could be
year?
a combination of just having that heightened emotional situation going on anywhere.
Yeah.
But also just, I don't know, I just felt like I related a lot more with Malin. I couldn't even imagine having to go through what she was going through. And just that desperateness about her in her voice, trying to read to her, trying to talk to her, just wake up, Shelby, just open your eyes. Like, it's so sad.
And the movie is a little manipulative, like because she's trying so hard, like she's doing the exercises and the nurse says, oh, that's good for her. Like, there are these little moments where you're like, oh, maybe, and then you overhear the doctor say, well, the coma, and you're like, oh, God.
Yeah, I think they were waiting it out, like hoping that she would wake up, but then after a certain period of time, they realized if she's not woken up by now, she's probably not going to.
Absolutely don't remember Jackson signing the papers.
I remember that.
Okay, I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
I do remember. In fact, I think I even misremembered it. I don't know why I felt that, like, Shelby maybe talked a little bit, but no.
No.
I mean, that's
when
really the end.
Collapses,
when she collapses, that's it for her. Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
So sad. Very well done.
And I also forgot, and it's so scary, when I remembered her collapsing, but I forgot of her crawling away, trying to reach the phone with the baby. Oh my God. And the baby's screaming.
And he walks in
oh my God.
I mean,
the sauce on the stove. Yeah.
Just so awful. Much else could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
Right? With the baby and God. Just so very real. Again, it was a very real, you could see that actually happening. It wasn't just, she wasn't just neatly, in a ball with the baby in her arms, It was like very real situation. I thought it was really effective too in those hospital scenes. It's completely silent except for the beeping of the machine and the breathing machine.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, there's no music. There's no music. Like, movie-ness. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You just hear the breathing and the beeping. And it's, oh my gosh, very, very
And then effective. It just stops. Like, it doesn't even flatline noise. It just, the beeping just stops. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, the gravesite we talked about already, amazing. Just amazing. The hit Ouiser moment was funny again. I mean, I still feel like it's just the expression on Ouiser's face, because she's just so shocked that this is happening. Like, what are you doing?
She's like, are you
And she just gets so she gets so upset, and she just storms off.
Although I do that, like, whole laughter through tears thing, and they even say that in the movie.
Yes.
But it's like when Clary does that, and like you hear Ouiser say, "Are you high, Clary?" And then you hear Dolly Parton go, "Clary, have you lost your senses?"
Yeah. It's so good. It's really,
but I will
really
say
good scene.
that the one, it's like a 1-2 punch with Sally Field, because you have her start by saying like you really think it's over. Like, you think, like, when she's like, I'm fine, I'm fine, and then she loses her shit, and she's going, and you think it's like she's like, I could run to Texas and back, but my daughter can't. She never could. And then, like, you think she's just going to devolve into tears, but then it goes into, no. And she's like, I want to know why. And it's like a fucking, I'm getting goosebumps right now.
I know.
It's like, because it feels so raw. It does, and as movie-ish as the scene may look, I don't think Sally Field is movie-ish in this scene.
No.
Like, it feels it's coming from a very sad,
very
exhausted place.
Yes.
Yeah. She's
100%.
awesome. And I cannot believe she didn't fucking get nominated. She got nominated for a Golden Globe for this. She was not nominated for an Oscar, and I think just in terms of those movie moments, that, those speeches and stuff, I mean, like, Sally Field is amazing. Yeah.
She really did. And I do wonder, and we had this conversation about Misery when we did Misery, about how, James Caan didn't get a nomination. Yeah. I did actually look up, and I can't remember, I mean, it was like Dead Poets Society was that year, and like Al Pacino was up for something, and like there was a pretty hefty list of people, competing for that position. But that might very well be the case. Yeah. this time.
Well, I think also too, it's probably looked at as more of an ensemble cast, like an ensemble piece.
Except that we were trying to bill it that way, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they're like, we can't put Sally in supporting, but I don't know. I don't know enough about to say, but it's like, it's weird, like, that she didn't get nominated for something.
Yes, agreed.
I would say she was the lead actress in this.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. She's in, I don't know how much screen time she had, but she certainly had more screen time than anybody else.
Really quick, the budget was $15 million, and the box office was $97 million.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah. So this is 1989.
Yeah. One other thing. Oh well, you talked about the bench scene when she pushes her.
Love it.
Because I love you more than my luggage.
I said that to my friend Allison a few times. Like, I love you more than my luggage.
Funny. And then the only thing I would have changed, like, you know me, I have to change.
No, do
the
it.
movie.
Yeah.
The only thing I would have changed is I felt like.
Well, but wait. Besides the shooting in the trees and stuff.
Oh,
you would have changed that, yeah.
No, yeah. There's some things I would have removed.
Yes.
But this is actually like a change. I feel like the recovery of Malin happened a little fast. It was right after the funeral.
Oh my god, so I have a very interesting note about this.
Okay, so it's immediately after the funeral. And... Annelle's pregnant and she's saying, oh, well, if I have this baby, and her name is Shelby, and then whatever. And now Malin's saying, well, that's the way it should be. Life goes on, right? So it's a lovely moment. Yeah. I don't feel like that day would have been that revelation. Like, she literally just buried her child.
This is so bizarre. So that scene, what you're talking about right now, I feel completely different.
Interesting.
Because I think that was something where Sally Field was taking over from the script. I think she said the lines, but she's downtrodden to the point where I remember watching it, and I felt the same way now. Watch it then and now. I felt bad for Annelle in that scene.
Interesting.
Because I felt Sally was saying what she wanted Annelle to hear.
Oh.
Because Sally Field was so sullen in that scene, and she's pushing Jackson on the swing or whatever. And Annelle's like, we'd like to name the baby after Shelby. And, and Millen's like, okay. And then she's like, and if it's a boy, she's like, oh, Shelby, I guess. That's as it should be. Life goes on.
You interpreted it very differently.
We have such different interpretations of that. That's so funny.
That is
because I felt bad for Annelle. I was like, I thought, Lynn might be like, Annelle, that really means a lot to me. And she doesn't say that at all. It's really more like, I think she's telling Annelle the religiousness of that Annelle wants to hear.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I really like your interpretation. Because I would have said, the thing I would have said was, I would have plopped that conversation in the next scene at Easter when she's about to go into labor and then, before she goes into labor. That's, I feel like, when that conversation should have happened.
I completely agree with you. That would have been a much more appropriate place. I think it's about appropriateness.
Yes.
That's a better place for it.
So, yeah.
And it would have been funny if she was like, if she knew it was a boy and wanted to name him Shelby. I mean, I think Shelby's a cool name anyway for a boy or a girl, to be honest.
For sure.
But, because you can name him Shell, and I think it's cute.
Sure.
So, speaking of the ending, it begins and ends with Easter.
Yes.
And it begins with Annelle entering our lives.
Oh,
and it ends
very
with
good,
Annelle
Ryan.
leaving the town to go have a baby to bring more life into.
Interesting. So
she's running from a life at the beginning of the movie, and she's running to give a life.
So what is so?
This
so
is the
what
Annelle
is her
story.
Purpose? So what is her purpose with the religion? Is she's bringing religion to the town?
No, but people.
I know
to your point. No. To your point, there's a lot of scenes in churches in this movie. There's a lot of religious.
That is true.
Religiousness.
Actually, you're right.
So it's like, but I think and doesn't Dolly say? I thought a character had a line about their God and like, oh, my God doesn't care what something like.
Oh, Ouiser says it to Annelle when she's playing with Jack Jr.
Okay, and
she says, "Oh, yes, I go to church." Right? Just like she's giving her like, yes, I go to church. Mm-hmm. And she said, something about, I forget what she said. But then Annelle said, not on your first visit.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah.
That was that like conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, religion has a place, and I think like it feels very true to the town and the location. So, but yeah, I never felt that. I never felt it was heavy in a religious tone. No. Yeah.
No, it's just her like craziness. But I mean, honestly, I feel like if Annelle was not there, I don't think it would have been a different movie.
I agree.
Sorry, Daryl. You're out too.
We loved you in Splash.
In my remake, you're out too. Did you ever see the remake?
No, but it got really good reviews.
Yeah,
it
did.
And it's the number 3 thing that Lifetime has ever aired of all time.
Interesting. I never saw it either.
Yeah.
But it'd be
the
interesting.
ratings
It would be
were great.
interesting to see.
I would like to see that. All right. Do we have questions?
I have a question.
Okay, let's hear it.
Do you have a question?
I have an FMK.
Okay, I'll go first then.
All right.
All right, so my question is, it's actually a throwback to, I think was our first episode Sex and the City?
Yes.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a throwback to our first episode. So, and it's a 2-parter too. I'm getting really fancy here with these questions.
Okay.
All right. So, you have to go on a road trip.
Fun.
Cross country.
Love
it's going to take
trip.
like 2 weeks.
I love a road
and
trip.
who would be your first choice to with all these like 6 ladies, right?
Yeah.
Your first choice to go with you on this journey.
Okay.
And who would be your last choice?
First choice, Truvy. Oh wait, do you already know what do you already?
I have an idea of what you're going to say. Go ahead. It's okay.
Well, I already said it. So my first choice would be Truvy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could really do a list right down, but my least. I mean, assuming Shelby's alive, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, but I think my least would be Annelle. I mean, talk about nothing. I mean, just I couldn't have a conversation with her. But Truvy, because she has so many little one-liners and snappy little like life. It is funny with the character of Truvy because she has so many philosophies, but she's kind of stuck in this very somber, joyless relationship. But I just love that character so much.
Yeah,
How about you?
So I would have guessed for you. I would have guessed Clary.
Oh, interesting.
For your favorite.
Okay.
And I would have guessed Shelby for your least because you wouldn't want to have to deal with all that sickness.
You make me sound like a monster.
No, but I mean, honestly, you're not going to want to take somebody that you may end up collapsing.
No, that's not true. I have all kinds of sick friends.
Well, you have a sick cat that you take very well care
I'm
of.
talking to a sick friend.
Oh, you wish we were friends.
So, no, but I think Shelby would be low on the list only because I feel like she'd either talk only about her wedding, which is like such a, or she'll only talk about Jackson or Jackson Jr. And I just,
that's her whole life.
It's her whole life. So I would not want to spend that much time with Shelby. And then Nell, there's just nothing to connect with at all there.
Yeah.
How about you personally? Because you
personally,
answered for me.
I would have chosen Clary.
Yeah.
For sure. And so for the least favorite, I think I would have chosen Malin. Because I felt like she was just very, like I said, she's a downer.
Yeah, that's a good, you know what?
And kind of controlling. And just, there wasn't a lot of joy in that. And she would have, really dragged us down. And now, she had that little point in her when she was actually fun.
Yeah.
So I feel like I could bring that fun back out if I was stuck with her.
Yeah.
I could bring that fun back out.
She's a good listener.
She could be, she could be. But Malin, I just felt like she was such a downer.
I didn't even consider that. Is Shelby dead in this? In that, if you
no,
I
think I would take Shelby over Malin.
You wouldn't want Malin then, because Malin would just be so worried about Shelby.
Yeah, I mean, she would just rain on every parade. She wouldn't want to do anything.
Malin's had it rough though.
Well, that's her problem.
And those awful,
doesn't have to be mine.
Kids. Oh my god.
Those awful
All right, so here we go.
Terrible mother, I guess, huh?
So, fuck, marry, kill. FMK. Drum, who is Malin's husband. Mm-hmm. Jackson. Mm-hmm. Spud.
All right, I'm killing Drum right off the bat.
Yay!
Sorry, Tom.
I always get your kills.
I think you get me. You get what I will not stand
25 years of friendship. What do you know?
So yeah, drums gone. I think I'd marry Jackson. And then Spud can be my little one night stand.
Spud's handsome. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jackson's a good husband.
Got exactly right. Got exactly right. And not only that, those are my answers too.
Yeah, I would think that as well. Yeah.
So we already said you liked it more. Or
I did. Did I say? I think I did like it more for. Yeah, I think I did like it more.
When it works, it really, really works.
Yes.
And for that, in that regard, that way I liked it more.
Well, because now I can watch it and be like, all right, in my mind, this character's gone. Like, I can kind of segregate the people I don't like.
Yeah.
And still enjoy the rest of the movie.
So this is crazy. So when I was going to watch this, I'm like, I'm going to watch it in 2 parts. Because I already know she dies and all this kind of stuff. Whatever. And I watched it in one sitting because it was like, it wasn't slow. It really
it does have a good pace to it.
There's a good pace to this movie.
It does. And I felt like I might have to do it in 2 pieces too. And I actually put it on while I was starting to wrap Christmas presents. And what was funny was like, I actually didn't end up wrapping that much because I was more invested in the movie than I thought I was going to be.
Yeah. And right now it is on Prime, although they change things every friggin' week. So, but if you can catch it on Prime, check it out.
And I got it from the library, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's it.
And that is it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there, please.
If you have an idea for the show or a suggestion or comment, you can email us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
Thanks again for listening. Until next time.